Here we go. Hello, everybody. This is the 3 Degrees Podcast. So glad you're here. So glad you could join me. It is going to be a blast today. This is the place to be. This is the place to be. Let me share with you. Let me share with you what this is all about. What is 3 degrees? Why did I call it 3 degrees? You see, when we're on our way to a destination, like if an airplane takes off, from one city, let's say it takes off from Minneapolis and it's going to Miami. It takes off, it has a heading, it has a course that it sets. But when it takes off, there are so many things that come against that. There's like wind and altitude and other things that are pushing it around, that it doesn't stay on course the whole time. And so on this long journey, it needs to make small corrections in order to reach its destination. Now, the closer it gets to the destination, the more important it stays on course. So the closer we get to our destination, the more important that you stay on course, the more important that we do the right things. You see, when we're 1,000 miles away from our destination, when we're 1,000 miles away from our goal, we can do just about anything. We have time for all kinds of stuff. But the closer we get to it, the more we have to hone in and say no to other things that seem like they would be absolutely fine to do any other time, except for we're on our way somewhere. We've chosen a destination, so we have to say no. So if it's going from Minneapolis to Miami, it cannot go to Denver. We can't take this sidetrack and get distracted and run off somewhere else and do something else, unless that's what we want to do, is change our whole direction, which is fine. We can do that. But once we've set a course, we should see that course through. So the closer the airplane gets to Miami, the more true it has to be in its heading. So the closer we get to what we want to do, the more true we have to be in our heading. There was a number of years ago, there was this Korean airliner that took off from Korea, and it was 3 degrees off in its heading. Just 3 degrees. In the beginning, if something is 3 degrees off, it's like not very much. In fact, we might not even notice the difference. What's the difference? It's only 3 degrees off. Well, anyway, this thing was 3 degrees off, and it just kept going and going, and it ended up somewhere over Russia. Russia. It ended up over Russia. It ends up over Russia, and Russia shot it down. And all the passengers on the plane died because of a 3 degree off, being 3 degrees off in his heading. We can't afford to be more than 3 degrees off in our heading. We need to set our heading and stay there. And even if we do get a little bit off, guess what? There are these things called corrections. All we have to do is make corrections. Isn't that fantastic? You just make a correction. What is it? Things will come on. If we're looking down something, if we're looking down the road, if we're looking down, we set our hand like this, and you can see what's over here. You can see what's over here, and you recognize anything that doesn't look like what it's supposed to be. So if we start to drift over here, we just make a correction and get it right back on track. We just find out, ask some questions, find out what we're doing. Is this what we intended? We ask ourselves, is this what's supposed to happen? Was this supposed to happen? Is what as actually, well, there's actually three things. Just let me run them through you. 3 degrees, right? Three things. What's supposed to happen? What do we intend? What's our intention? What actually happens? Like what really went on? And then what makes the difference? Why didn't it turn out? What did we miss? Did we miss anything? Did it go better than expected? Did it go better than expected? We're like, wow, we really crushed it. Or we're like, man, we came up missing. Little corrections over a long haul. We just keep making these little corrections. We don't want to go so far where we get way out here in left field and we don't know what to, and then we got to make big old corrections. Big old corrections are actually embarrassing. Big corrections usually end up embarrassing. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to have to make big corrections when we can make just small little corrections. Let's just make the little ones. Because we're going somewhere. We're going to do something. We're putting something together. Well, then a lot of people say, but what if you don't know what to do? Well, what if you don't know what to do? Then your job is finding out what to do. Find out and make that it. Try stuff out. Go somewhere. Do something. Don't just sit there. Do something. Find some things. Find something, maybe you can pray. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you, right? Seek first the kingdom of God. What makes you angry? What's something that you go, someone should do something about that? Someone should do something about that. Do you have anything like that? Is there anything that says, someone should really fix that problem? Maybe you should try that. The number one thing there is get involved with what God's already doing. Just get involved with what he's already doing and then help out. Become a vital part of that. Just find something he's already doing. Because really, it's not what you do, it's how you do what you do that really matters. And we don't know what to do, so we say, well, let's try this. We pour ourselves into it, and maybe we say, okay, this is the thing, and if it's not, then we let go of it, and then we try another thing until, we get on track. Then we find out what somebody else is doing, and what's a little part of that they can't do so well, and what could we do even better than they're doing it, and then let's make that our purpose. Years ago, I pastored a church, but I pastored a church for people coming out of jail and for people who are at risk. And so I noticed that in jail, when we did jail ministry, they were really, they're peace, love, joy, brother. they were on board. But as soon as they got out, they went back to their old ways of doing things. Well, why wouldn't you? Anybody would do that. So we opened a church for this purpose. So we could serve, we called it churching the unchurched. The people who didn't go to church. And it grew and it worked out. So we found a place where we could serve with our gifts and talents that serve the community. One of the first things I did there in the little town we moved into, we had like $500 in our checking account. And I went to the policeman. Well, I had one policeman at a time. Went to the policeman and I said, hey man, what can we do for you? He says, what level? I'm like, well, a few $100. He goes, you know what? We need a new radio. I said, done. We spent $350 and bought that little police department a new radio. That police department was our friend the whole time we were there. The city, the little village, they liked us the whole time we were there. We found a place to serve, and then we did it. And it did work. I mean, that is the work of the ministry. That is what we are to equip the saints for the work of the ministry. That's what it is. You know, and equipping is not a percentage. We're equipped or we're not equipped. That's the way that is. So what's 3 Degrees about? 3 Degrees is one thing. It's about making a lot of corrections on the way to a destination and not getting more than 3 degrees off of your target, staying focused on what you're supposed to do. Stay focused on what you're supposed to do. Have something in mind. Just look at that thing. Say, this is where we're going. This is what we're doing. We're not stopping. We're staying on course. Yeah, we're going to make some corrections. Yeah, we got to go around some things. Yeah, there's going to be some obstacles, but we're going to get through. You're going to get through. That's what this is all about. And when you make it through, you can tell everybody else about it. You can tell everybody else, hey man, this is how I got through. This is how the Lord led me through. This is how I broke through. Hey, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. This is Randy Stone. I'm so glad you were here. This is the 3 Degrees Podcast. Can't wait to see you again. See you soon.